Today I'm here with past perfect. Speak fluent English with past perfect. What does that mean? I know that you might want to say that past perfect is somehow not that common, maybe. You don't really hear that a lot. You don't really hear past perfect a lot like we hear simple past, okay? Or I don't think past perfect is as important as other grammar rules, like other tenses. Past perfect is going to help you a lot with speaking fluently. Well, is not as common and is not as frequently spoken in English as simple past or past progressive. It's not as common, as frequently spoken. But it's really important to know if you want to be fluent, because there are some specific situations that we use past perfect in, okay? And those situations happen. It might not happen as frequently as other situations, but they happen. And if you want to be fluent, you want to be able to speak correctly in English at those certain situations. You don't want to feel stuck and don't know how to talk and how to speak in those situations. A fluent speaker is a speaker that can speak, is a person who can speak freely and confidently in English, okay? They can transfer any sort of message that they have, and they can do it correctly and with being comfortable and easy with the situation. You don't want to use some, weird, complicated grammar or vocabulary to show that you know English. You want to actually communicate through English and with using English. Don't get me wrong, past perfect, future perfect, they're so important, but they're used only in some specific situations that you definitely need to be aware of them and then be able to use them in those situations so that you don't feel stuck when you need them, because a real fluent speaker won't feel stuck, okay? Won't feel stuck in those important situations. So that's why we need to learn past perfect, future perfect, because they're used in specific situations, but important specific situations that a fluent speaker knows and uses the right grammar in those situations. So let's just get through the lesson and learn this important grammar to become a more fluent speaker in English. I've already talked about all the perfect tenses, and I've already given you a general explanation on different perfect tenses. Like I've already talked about present perfect, future perfect, and past perfect. So we said that basically perfect tenses describe and talk about something that happens before another thing or event. So if it's present perfect, is something that happens before another time or event in the present. If it's past perfect, is something that happens before another time or event in the past. If it's future perfect, something that happens before another time or event in the future. Now, I know I've explained it all and brought a lot of examples with this general explanation in one of my previous videos. And I also went through details with present perfect, which is a super common and super important grammar, which you definitely need, and you can't speak English without it. But today we're here to talk about past perfect and its specific important usages in English. To describe an action that happened before another time or event in the past. Some action is to describe some action that happened first in the past, okay, and then something else happened in the past, but we're talking about this action, the first action that happened before some other action in the past, okay? So that is when we use past perfect. That is the core idea, the general idea of past perfect. It is formed with had plus past participle. For example, had gone, had done, had brought, had finished, had painted, had made. For example, when I arrived at the party, my friends had already left. Had already left. We use past perfect for the first action that happened in the past before some other action that happened in the past, which is arrived here. First they left and then I arrived. Now let's get through the key usages in those specific situations where you need to use past perfect in. And to show the earlier of two past actions. Sometimes when we are telling a story or when we're explaining events, the past perfect helps making the sequence clear here, making the past sequences clear here. For example, she had finished her homework before her mom came home. Finished her homework before her mom came home. When you want to use this, when you want to say this in English, we need to know how to say it to make sure that our listeners understand that first we finished our homework and then our mom came, okay? And for this specific situations, you need to use past perfect. It's important. She had finished her homework before her mom came home. So first she finished her homework and then her mom came home. And here it's important to use past perfect to focus on the fact that she finished her homework first. The first action in the past is with past perfect and the next one is with simple past. Second usage, to talk about experiences in the past, similar to present perfect when we used to talk about our experiences. For example, I've been in Italy or I've done that once. Use present perfect to talk about our experiences like this, but in this case, we use it to talk about experiences in the past before another past moment, referring to experiences before a past moment. I had never seen such beautiful place before I went to Italy. I had never seen such a beautiful place before I visited Italy. It's my experience, and it's an experience that is describing one action that happened before another action in the past. So I had never seen such a beautiful place before I visited Italy, until I visited Italy. And when I visited Italy, because now I think that Italy is the most beautiful place that I've ever seen. So first, I never saw anything like that place. And the second, visiting Italy, when you realize that, oh, Italy is even more beautiful. We use past perfect with by the time and with before. We use it with these two to talk about and to focus on and to emphasize and to focus on that something was already completed by a certain time, was already sooner than the time expected or thought, was completed before a certain time in the past, of course, okay? By the time we arrived, the movie had already started. By the time we arrived, the movie had already started. Okay? So first the movie started and then we arrived. By the time we arrived, the movie had already started. She had left before I could talk to her. She had left before I could talk to her. So she first left and before I could talk to her. So I wanted to talk to her. Before I could, she left. So she first left and then I came, but I couldn't talk to her, so she left. So she had left before I could talk to her. She was not there anymore for me to go to her and talk to her. Pay attention. If you want to speak natural and fluent English, you need to remember that you don't always have to use past perfect, okay? Sometimes when you can talk naturally and send the message without past perfect and with just simple past, when you can do that, you don't need to use past perfect because at that point, it will be unnatural to use past perfect. If simple past does the work. For example, I went to the store and then cooked dinner. You don't say I had gone to the store and then had dinner. Just you need to use it exactly in those specific situations. When you are okay and when you can get your point across and when everything's fine with simple past, you need to use simple past. We usually use past perfect a lot in storytelling. When we're telling a story about some situations when you want to make the sequence of events clear, the sequence of time clear, use past perfect. And it's very important to use it because if you don't, they cannot really understand what is our point and what thing happened first and then what other thing happened, you know? So past perfect is useful in showing order in stories, talking about your experiences and showing order in your experiences, telling stories. So try to use a sentence, try to write a sentence using past perfect and decide which one happened first. And that's it. Thank you so much, you guys. And don't forget to subscribe if you want structured and consistent lessons like this. Bye!